Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be grading every team's offseason from the EMEA League. These grades are how much I think these teams did to improve their roster, not necessarily how well I think they will do this upcoming season. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, in our first team, I'm going to kick it off just like I did with the last episode. I'm going to give FNATIC an A+. They made two massive upgrades with Chronicle and Leo over Mystic and Enzo. And they've probably built the best on-paper roster in the world. I don't think they will be the best team in the world next year, but it's definitely possible with all of this talent. And I just think Mini has to be the best scout and GM in the world right now. And I don't really think it's that close. I think the only GM that we really know of, Don Psycho for formerly Xset, now Sentinels, and DDK for 100 Thieves are really the only two that come close in my mind. But yeah, I'm going to give FNATIC an A+. And our next team is Liquid, who I'm going to give an A. I think they also probably built like the third best roster on paper in EMEA, and will probably be the third best team, in my opinion. I think the roles on this team are a little wonky, and I don't have a ton of faith in Soulcast, but I don't really know who else they're going to pick up instead of him, so A for Liquid. Right, and then our third team here, who I'm also going to give an A+ to, is Navi, who they got 4 of the 5 FPX players, and the one that they didn't get, Artis, I honestly think is probably the most replaceable, maybe other than Zipan. And then they got CNED, who gives this roster more upside than what it did with Artis. So they got a top 4 team in the world, and then gave it a chance to get even better. I think this team is my favorite to win champs this year. Maybe not to win Sao Paulo, but they just set themselves up perfectly. So yeah, A+ for Navi. I'm stoked about this roster. And now we have Koi, who I gave a B+, where they made a very, very good roster. Roles make sense, got a great IGL, all that stuff. But it does kind of feel like they cleaned up the rest of the available free agents after like Liquid and FNATIC got their guys, and even some of like the Karmine Corp guys like Nevera and Scream. Like, I think they would have gotten like Trex, Shados, Coldamenta anyway. But like Starzone, I wasn't really familiar with Wolfen until they signed him. So yeah, that's the only reason it's not in the A range. But yeah, B+ for Koi. Still very great roster. All right, next up we have Vitality, who I gave a B+. They've built a pretty stacked roster around Bone Cold and Sender, who they had before franchising. I just don't think it's as good as some of their EMEA counterparts like the Navis, the Liquids, and the FNATICs of the world. Even Koi probably built a better roster, but I still think they can compete at Sao Paulo. But past that, I don't really see them making it to international lands just because there only 3 teams make it. So it's kind of unlucky, but yeah, B+ for Vitality. All right, now we have BBL, who I'm going to give a C. They added Brave, and I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but this guy with the S starting his name. Which, at least they tried to upgrade their roster. I don't know how big of an upgrade that either of those players will be. I know Brave is okay on SMB, but I think they're one of the few teams who won't be very competitive in the league. I think they'll be a bottom 2 team in the EMEA league. And I just don't think they made big enough upgrades. So yeah, I'm going to give them a C, which does feel a little bit high. But and next up, we have Heretics. I gave a B-. I do like the idea of building around Kellogg's, and adding Zeke and Avova are pretty good pickups. just I don't understand Mixwell. This team would be so good if you added like an actual like real player in there that has concrete roles. Like I don't even remember what Mixwell played. What he played like flex sentinel stuff, I guess. I don't know. At Red Bull. Also, their playstyle was kind of weird. I didn't like it, but that doesn't really matter with the roster. I couldn't really see this team competing and them playing at Red Bull and playing the way they did, running the comps they did, just didn't really help at all. So yeah, I'll give them a B minus, even though I do like 3 out of their 5 players. And now on to Giants, who I gave a B plus, adding Nookie, who I think is well within the top 10 of EMEA, probably closer to like top 8, top 7 maybe. And well within the top 25 players in the world, in my opinion. I think that automatically gets them a B. And then I also like Rhyme and Hoodie. I almost said Rom. I don't know why, but so yeah, they make this roster fairly well rounded, and Cloud's pretty good. I've never heard of Fatinho, but I'm sure he's okay at least. I think this team could compete with the Kois, the Vitalities, and the Heretics of the world. I think they'll beat Heretics too. But this roster is well constructed, and I'll give them a B plus for it. Now, Karmine Corp, who I'm going to give a C plus. Scream and Vera were good pickups, especially for the massive French clout org, where both of them are French speakers. But I think you just need to surround them with more talent than they did. That's all. I just don't really see a world where this team competes. I think they'll probably be around that mid tier with like Heretics and like Vitality and Koi and Giants, but I don't think they'll be like consistently beating those teams. I think they'll be consistently beat by those teams. Maybe other than Heretics, I think they'll probably trade wins with them. So yeah, C plus for Karmine Corp. And now the 10th and final team, Footballist, who I'm going to give an F. They just kept the same roster as last year. They didn't do anything. And now every roster in the world is getting better. I just don't get it, personally. Like, make some kind of change. Like, even if they, like, swapped out one of these players who I've never heard of for another player that I've never heard of, I probably would have been happier with it because at least they're trying to make changes. But I just don't see the vision of this roster and how it's going to compete. I mean, they went 0 for 3 at Red Bull home grounds. All the red here, I think, pretty much shows you how this team is going to do next year. Like, I guess they won VRL at the end of the year, sure, over Vitality, who they lost to earlier. I don't get it. I'm gonna give them an F. All right, and that's all 10 teams. Let me know what you thought of my grades in the comments, and tell me what you would have given these teams for how well they did in the off season. But that's it. I'll see you in the next video for the 8-pack grades. Then I'm going to try to do a tier list of all 30 teams going into Sao Paulo and recap what I think of them. So yeah, bye-bye.